Hi everyone, guys. I hope I'm audible and visible. We'll be just waiting for 1 minute for everyone to join and then we get started with the session. So, guys, I hope we've had a great evening so far. Let's get started with a very important session that is CAT verbal ability. Majorly, we're going to practice CAT parajumbles. I hope I am audible and visible to everyone. Very good session and a very important part to be looked at, guys. Uh, Let me just pull in some really interesting questions for you. So, we're going to start with parajumbles, as I stated. When it comes to parajumbles, it's basically the five sentences which we are supposed to arrange in a coherent, meaningful paragraph, which are jumbled for us, right? There are jumbled sentences which have to be arranged, which have to be sequenced. Okay, this is what we are looking for. So, there are certain strategies which we can follow in order to understand how parajumbles can be solved. As I told you, one approach is always generic to specific. Okay, generic to specific means, say, for I'm talking about art, right? And then I talk about, say, painting or maybe classical dance, right? So dance is also a form of art, and that too becoming specific about classical dance and then becoming generic about art again, right? So always the approach is going to be from generic to specific. The approach is always going to be from generic to specific. Okay, this is something we can try to understand. Second thing we have is when it comes to dates, when it comes to the tense of the sentence, right? When we refer to past, present, future, it is important to understand कि जो past वाला है, right? Was, were, has, have, had, all of it comes first. Then whatever is being referred to as presently, currently, nowadays, okay, it falls under present tense. And last of all, we have future. By future, we means will and shall. Okay, 5 years down the line. All of it lies under future reference. Okay, when we say dates, so what happened in 1990, what happened in 2000, what happened in 2010, 20, 30, and so on. So this is how we go by what comes first as the first tense, right? Then you also have articles. Okay, articles or even pronouns. So we can use articles to see, acha, a and the use kiya hai, to who are we using it for, right? If we are using he, it, they, what are we using it for, right? So that also helps us in understanding कि अच्छा this is the particular antecedent. This is how we can pair it or triple it out with. Okay, so this is how we're going to look at certain things. So let me just pull you back to some quick exercise and what we can learn, right? So when it comes to parajumbles, guys, we're going to try this particular question. This is question number 1 for you, and this is 2 for you. Let's quickly try this out. KLM Airlines in Holland has a problem with the pollution of its home base. By running flights to lesser known cities in Germany and England, KLM pulled passengers away from their own national airlines. And at one time, KLM was flying more Germans across the Atlantic than Lufthansa, the country's national airline. So KLM developed the successful concept of feeder airlines. It was very small compared to that of the other airlines crossing the Atlantic, US, UK, Germany, France, etc. Have a look at the questions, guys, and tell me what is the sequence you find and why. Yes, Raj, do we start with ADCB? We'll just have a look at the question. KLM Airlines in Holland has the problem with the pollution of its home base. By running flights to lesser known cities in Germany and England, KLM pulled passengers away from their own national airlines. And at one time, KLM was flying more Germans across. So naturally, I can start with A, right? In Holland has the problem with the population of its home base. Now, what is the population? What is the problem? How is it based? Very small compared to that of the other airlines crossing the Atlantic. So KLM developed the successful concept of feeder airlines by running flights to lesser known cities in Germany and England. KLM pulled passengers away from their own national airline. So yes, it could be ADCB is what we can go for, right? B Bombay is what we can go for. ADCB is a good option. Similarly, try this question number 4, and then discuss it. Okay, Ras, yes, let's have a look at the question. So, first of all, I'd like to know if you found any problem solving it. Because it says, Emmy the Great, who will play the body ballroom on March 11, has toured with the Mountain Goats in another act that uses its lyrics to drive its songs. We talked about classic rock, Zeppelin, sure, going to California is pretty. And Moss explained that her interest as both music fan and songwriter is words. In London last December, I met Emma Moss, a young songwriter who performs under the name Emmy the Great. Though Moss is calm and clear, where the Mountain Goats' John Daniel is loud and clear, both songwriters find the structure and sentences and build their peaks with language rather than riffs. So both find their peaks and build their peaks in language rather than riffs, right? They don't rift away. So naturally, we start with an introduction. We talked about this and this. So can it start with B or should it be A? You first introduce the complete name. So Emmy the Great, who will play the Bow Ballroom on March 11, has toured Mountain Goats. It has to start with A. Then how and what happened? So connect with B, C, and then D. So this question was pretty easy, right? It wasn't very tough if you might have seen it, guys. Very easy as compared to, otherwise how we solve it. So I'm sure we must have gotten it right. In case not, make sure that we are able to figure out how do we connect the opening sentence and the closing sentence. And yours is introduces the main thing. The main thing is, you know, um, who am I connecting with? I connected with Emmy. And then it gives an introduction, what he did or she did, right? So that is very important to understand. Okay, how am I going to connect? So here the answer is B, Bombay. I mean C, Calcutta. Please have a look at the next two questions. Good observation, Raz. See, for Vinay, for VARC, the major thing is that you need to continuously work on, you know, reading, because then the VA part becomes stronger as you read, and also, of course, your RC also becomes strong. So, point is that you have to be regular with your reading, because when you read regularly, your reading comprehension naturally becomes very, very, easy to understand. You don't have to put extra effort. You just have to read articles every day or maybe a book a week. That is it, and try to synopsis it, try to summarize it. That should help you in understanding. Okay, Acha, this is the particular question type. This is a particular passage type which helps me understand more better. Or this is the inference type of question where I'm stuck with more. And also when it comes to verbal ability part, more about parajumbles, para completion, odd man out question. It'll be easy for you only and only if you regularly read again. Okay, if you don't read, naturally it'll be tough for you to figure out, where and what stands. How do I start? That'll always be a challenge for you. Shall we discuss the question, guys? Are we done with the question? Okay. So first time I'm not able to understand. When I was सबको same problem ही आता है. It's not you. It's like everybody in the world, who's reading it for the first time. You would have challenges. But as you'll read regularly, you'll find that becomes easy for you to understand. Okay, let's have a look at these two questions without options. As I said, cat may, you'll have these questions under theta. Type in the answer, right? There would not be any options given to you. Okay, so four sentences below when properly sequenced, would yield a coherent paragraph. There are four sentences. In the central nervous system of other animals, species such as comprehensive regeneration neurons have not been proven beyond doubt. Biologists from the University of Beirut have discovered a uniquely rapid form of regeneration in injured neurons, and they function in the central nervous system of zebrafish. They studied the motor cells, which are solely responsible for the escape behavior of the fish and previously regarded as incapable of regeneration. However, their ability to regenerate crucially depends on the location of the injury, where the injury is. Okay, so if you look at this sequence, it starts with B. Biologists from the University of this discovered a uniquely rapid form of regeneration. This kind of introduces that discovered a uniquely form of regeneration. Then A says in the central nervous system of other animal species such as comprehensive regeneration of neuron has not been proven beyond doubt. Right. Then you have C, or maybe you could have D. However, their ability to regenerate. Since we're talking about regeneration here in A, gets connected to D. And last of all, we have C. They studied the motor cells, which are solely responsible for escape behavior of the fish, previously regarded as incapable of regeneration. So BA, DC is a sequence. Okay. Try the same for question number 6 as well, and then we discuss it. Vinayak, where are you talking about question number 5 here? Can you share your sequence? What sequence otherwise did you find? Yeah, so BCDA is what you found. Can we connect BCDA? In the central nervous system, or it starts with B, biologists from the University of Brewood have discovered a uniquely rapid form of generation. They studied the motor cells, which are solely responsible. See, this is something we're talking about regarded as incapable of regeneration. Okay, so regeneration has to be talked about only when we have talked about central nervous system. Other animals, such as comprehensive regeneration of neurons, have not been proven beyond doubt. Right. So, of course, BC also seems to be good. Yeah, they also refers. That's right. But again, in the central nervous system of other animal species, such as comprehensive regeneration of neuron, has not been proven doubt. Right. So we kind of introduce that idea of regeneration in option number A. And once that has been done, only then can we move to this particular option, right? Do we get that?
Recording in progress.
Okay. Huh. All right, tell me, how should we have it for question number 6 now? Try for question number 6. Then we great. Hi Swara, good to see you here. Siddhant, great. Yes, guys, so what can be the probable answer for this question? The four sentences below are again properly sequenced. I mean, they're not properly sequenced, need to figure out. The work is more than the text. For the text, not only takes on life when it is realized, and furthermore, the realization is by no means independent of the individual disposition of the reader. The convergence of text and reader brings the literary work into existence, and this convergence is not to be identified either with the reality of the text or with the individual disposition of the reader. From the polarity, it follows that the literary work cannot be completely identical from the text or with the realization of the text, but in fact must halfway between the two. The literary work has two poles, which we might call the artistic and aesthetic. Artistic refers to the call texted, the text created by the author, and aesthetic to the realization accomplished by the reader. Okay, so what can be the opening sentence here? It should be D, it should be B. See, everybody is coming up with a different answer, I see. So, what makes us come with different answer, guys? The work is more than the text, the convergence of the text and reader. From the polarity, it follows that the literary work cannot be completely identical with the text. Literary work has two poles, which we might call the artistic and aesthetic. Okay, so again, guys, for such questions where you get confused or you do not know, like D could be the opening, C could be the opening, always try to see the most generic, right? For example, if we start with D, the literary work has two poles which we might call artistic and aesthetic. Artistic refers to this, aesthetic refers to this. Okay, the work is more than the text. Text not only takes it independent of the individual disposition of the reader, convergence of the text, right? Convergence and from this polarity. We're talking about poles here and then we're talking about this. So DC should be a mandatory pair. And AB also seems to be a mandatory pair, right? So can D be the opening sentence? Not really. B could be the opening sentence. Convergence of text and reader brings a literary work into existence. The work is more than text, so the text not only takes on life, maybe it could be AB as well. Do you think DCAB could be a good choice? Or would it be DCBA? Yeah, what should follow here? Will it be DCAB or DCBA? Quick 1 minute, then we discuss. Yes, guys, it should be DCBA. Correct. It should be DCBA. Right? So, answer is going to be DCBA. That's the correct answer. Okay, let's have a look at these two questions as well very quickly. Please answer for question number 7 and 8. Okay, let's quickly have a look at the questions. Consider Oliver's homeless orphans in Dickensian, London, or The Sound of Music's One Trapped family harmonizing its way out of Nazi occupied Austria. Called Yoruk's story, the production is set up in one of the most notorious of dictator Kim Jong Il's gulags, which alone houses an estimated 20,000 prisoners. Music theater has a long history of successful productions that, at first glance, don't seem particularly fun or uplifting. But in Seoul, the theater director Ansang Sang San is pushing the concept of the unlikely musical to a new extreme. So, first of all, I'd like to know what is your understanding? Did you guys understand what is given in the paragraph? Swara, yes. Should it start with C? Musical theatre has a long history. This term history shows that yes, we can start with something in the past. C should be the opening sentence. Now, after C, what should fall? And where it goes B, Swara, it's 5 sentences, not 4 this time. Be careful with that. Yeah? Please give me the complete answer, guys. Hmm. CADBE. Perfect, perfect, perfect. CADBE, or is it going to be BDE? We can start with CADBE होना चाहिए, I think. But we don't have that option. So CADEB is still a better choice, right? Musical theatre has a long history of successful productions. Consider Olive's Homeless Orphans. But in Seoul, novice theatre director Jung San is pushing the concept of unlikely musical to a new extreme. How? Jung 36 currently has a cast in this, and then Call Your Story production is set on the most notorious note, right? CADEB is still okay. That is still better, Vinayak. What about question number 8? What do you understand by question number 8? Can you help me with the answer for this? Yes. Yeah, it's question number 8, and it is Taken in dozens of national parks, mostly in western United States, Moore's images emphasize contrast, horizon, and sky. If scientific data were worse, that description would only also fit Shadmore's pictures. In the name of science, Moore photographs darkness, but its subject may be in peril, like a bad condition. Ansel Adams once called his photography of the nation's sparklands. It starts with D, right? Blazing poetry of the real. If the scientific data were worse, that description would also fit. Should we start with D? Yes, we could start with D, and DBAC is the correct answer for this. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining in. We'll be meeting very soon again for the next session, maybe on Monday. Till then, you guys can have a great time. If you have any doubts, you can try questions, have a doubt. We can connect very soon and discuss those doubts as well, guys. Thank you so much and see you very soon. Have a great night.